As we've been going through the redemption of Scrooge, I don't know if any of you went back to read A Christmas Carol, or I pondered watching the movie because it came on one night this week when we were watching Christmas movies, and I was too tired to make it through. But when we come to this last week, the ghost of Christmas past or future is there, and then the end of the story. In the first part of it, I kept looking and I was reading, I'm like, where's the peace? And everything about it is that Scrooge isn't there. He's on this path, he's going to die and die quickly. And nobody's going to miss him. All of a sudden, there's uncertainty in him going forward. He's asking the ghost, if I change, will it be okay? Will this look different? The ghost says nothing. He says, what's going to happen? How can we keep this from happening? He is facing that uncertainty in his life about where he is and the reality of where he's been. And of course, we get to see him in the end come and to share Christmas cheer. Bob Cratchit gets a raise. There's a turkey for the house at Tiny Tim. And we get to see him work on changing. But see, he has to live through the uncertainty, doesn't he? And then many times in our life, we live with life uncertain. Sometimes we think we have it all figured out, and we think, I've got this. I know what is going to happen. You keep telling yourself that. And I'll be glad to point out plenty of times when it doesn't turn out the way we think. That we live in uncertainty whether we think we do or not. But the biblical passage for today is about somebody who's living in that uncertainty. It's the story of Joseph. We hear the Luke passage over and over, and Mary's included in this, but this is really Joseph's story. By the way, this story happens over, we don't know exactly how long it happens, but this isn't a one moment in time piece. I think there's a process going on here until we get to the end where it says that he's asleep and he hears from the angel. Matthew chapter 1, starting with verse 18. This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to be married with Joseph. But before they came together, she was found to be pregnant through the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her to public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly. But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home to be your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She'll give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. Then when Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and he took Mary home as his wife. But he did not consummate their marriage until she gave birth to a son. He gave them the name Jesus. 7 days from now, I will celebrate, and Kay will celebrate with me, I hope, our 29th wedding anniversary. So next year, 30. Yes, I know. Some of you aren't that old. But You remember the things you looked forward to for that wedding. You remember the dreams and how it would look. Maybe it was the number of children. Maybe it's when you would retire. Maybe it's how your wedding would look. Beautiful out by the lake. The sun about to set and the wind blowing. Not too long ago. But then all of a sudden uncertainty creeps into your life. And we have to decide how we're going to go forward. Joseph is facing that uncertainty. I'm sorry. Marry your fiance. She's pregnant. In my logical world, there's nothing in that says, yeah, sign me up. By the way, it's not yours. Uncertainty. We see in Joseph, we see a man who cares. He's like, I'm not going to disgrace her. I'm not going to have her. He could have literally had her stoned and put to death. That was on the table by the law. He says, no, I'll be nice and kind. Let this happen over here and I'll go on. Man. But then the Holy Spirit starts. And it's interesting, when I was reading that passage even aloud again, Joseph, of the lineage of David, one of the prophecies. She's a virgin. She's going to give birth. Call it Jesus. Emmanuel, God with us. We see it referred to in Luke 2. Again, that's multiple prophecies out of Isaiah. All being answered right here, right now, in the uncertainty. How do we respond right there? How do we respond when we face uncertainty? See, Joseph has faith during his uncertainty in the choices that he makes going forward. He decides that he's going to have faith in God going through it. One of the most difficult times I think I probably had in our marriage, before we had kids, Kay and I got married, and her parents were smokers. She'd grown up in a home with smokers, and we get married, and nobody in my house smoked. And all of a sudden, Kay's getting sick all the time. And she can't get over it. It's taken 2 and 3 courses of antibiotics to get over that. And we're like, what's going on? And I will never forget the day that we're at a doctor's office. And he says, we're going to draw and do a blood test. It's going to take 3 weeks to come back. It's for leukemia. I'm probably about the age of JC at this moment. Everything that I've dreamed and thought of, 29 years of marriage and kids and a great loving relationship, is now uncertain. I really wanted to strangle that doctor because that turned out to be 3 of the longest weeks of my life. Because here we are young, I'm at least dumb and stupid. And not where we needed to be exactly in our faith walk. Facing uncertainty. A lot of it. Now I'll tell you at the end of the 3 weeks, and he says, you don't have leukemia, but we still don't know what's going on. Wasn't the easiest piece. They ultimately came back and she had an immune deficiency that was caused from secondhand smoke. She had an IgA deficiency. It made her anything upper respiratory very hard to get over. So if she sounded like I do today, we're like, oh my word. But we face those things in our life. Uncertainty comes in different ways. Starting a second career, going to school. That's you, Jonah. Stepping out on faith. Losing a loved one. Changing jobs and moving. or just what you think is going to happen, and all of a sudden you realize it's not. Because then we find ourselves, we think we're out on the Sea of Galilee with the disciples in the boat, and they're all like, the storm is here. And Jesus is like, I got this. Joseph here chose to realize God had this. So often in our own lives, we choose to go, we got this. So how are we going to have faith during uncertainty? Because not all of us are going to get what Joseph gets here, and starting at, I think it's about 20. It says, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. But are we going to have faith to trust what God says throughout his word? That he's going to be with us? And I'm not telling you everything's going to be perfect or come out perfect. But we can choose to have faith during uncertainty. I think probably one of the most interesting things to me, and I did this whole passage one time as playing Joseph, is that when we face decisions that we are unsure of, you know that knot that creates inside you? I do. It's an angst. It's turmoil. It's no sleep. It's a sharp tongue. When all of a sudden we face those things in our life, how do we respond? Cain knows when I don't sleep, I'm either sick like I am now, or something is bothering me. It's fairly simple. Now, I've gotten older, my sleep habits are a little weirder. But we have to choose how we're going to respond. Joseph, at that moment, he decides to respond out of love. He decides to respond out of what God has told him to do, or what the angel said. But he chooses love. How do we respond in the midst of uncertainty? Do we have faith where we respond out of love? Or do we respond out of our own control and we got this? I talked to a friend the other day. He's been serving in ministry, and for the very first time, he's not in a role as a pastor. I would consider him that. He just got licensed by his church. And another church has offered him a job to ordain him. And he's having to decide, do I walk away from that which I know and I've served in for like 6 years? Or am I being called here? And he doesn't know. He doesn't know yet whether that's a calling and it's hard because that's a good, any of y'all ladies, you like being wooed when you were dated? Most of us guys, we tried to woo you. We tried to say, hey, look, I still got hair. I'm not going to tell you my family lineage is a bunch of bald people. I'm not going to introduce you to my dad. 5'9", 300 pounds, and bald as could be. But he's having, it's a good uncertainty, but now he has to reside and he has to choose out of faith. He's got to respond out of love. And I don't know what he's going to do. I know I'm praying for him, that God would make it clear, just as he did. But I think we have to all of a sudden realize that we need to respond out of love with our faith. Because when we start having that faith piece that we can walk the uncertainties, we can respond differently. And I will admit, I think all of us, when we get under stress, which is what uncertainty creates, most of us don't get happy. I know when Kay's mom fell, Kay either fainted or had a seizure, and I'm Uber driver extraordinaire, still trying to, still trying to do all of our stuff. I wasn't responding real well. I was cranky. Do not tell them how cranky I was. But when we tend to live in uncertainty, it tends to bring out stress, and that does bring out the worst in us, doesn't it? But Joseph's faith, I just can't imagine everything you thought of and dreamed of, and it's just going to be totally different. But his faith in God leads to a response in love. He went from the total opposite, I could have her stoned, to I'm going to take her, she's going to be my wife. This child is going to be mine. We're going to call it exactly what the angel said we would call it, Jesus. So how does that work for you and I today? When we did the 5 love languages, and we found out this piece. Let me give you the point. It said we must choose to love every day. Okay? Now, when I met Kay, there's this emotional thing that happens in you and in your brain. It's like, I'm in love. None of you have ever been there. Liars. But the reality is that somewhere along the 18 months to 2-year period, that peace which your significant other fired in your brain, it stops. Nothing we can do about it. When the song says, I lost that loving feeling, yeah, you did. God kind of made us that way. Now, all of a sudden, you have to choose to love. That's hard. I have to choose to say I love her, and I do over and over. Y'all know I admitted in the class that sometimes that's not always easy. And she says, oh, you think it's not easy for you? But it is part of choosing. Staying in love, staying in faith is part of choosing continually. How do you choose to have love in your life on a regular basis? Jesus in his upside pyramid, sacrifice, it's more about God, it's more about somebody else than it is about me. Tim was dressed up in a red suit yesterday out at Fred's. He didn't have to have a fake beard. It's a moment where he can choose to love people. He could have been doing all sorts of things. I don't know if Ohio State was playing basketball or something else yesterday. He could have carried Miss Dottie shopping for all I know. But he chose to go give of himself. So we have to choose to love and to love others. You go, well, John, I don't know how. I hear you. I don't know how we're going to do that. In our bathroom, and this is my bride, this is not me. Each of y'all look at yourself every morning before you go out of the house in the mirror. I mean, I realize my hair is going to do what my hair does. But I want to make sure I don't have anything, So I look in the same mirror every morning. I very rarely, maybe when I am going hunting, because the deer do not care, do I not look in the mirror before I leave. So on most of the time, and for some reason Kay took them down the other day, but most of the time on the 2 corners of our mirror are 2 things to remind us. It says, Holy Spirit, please lead me, fill me and empower me to effectively serve God today. It's a piece of scripture. I think I'm going to tweak this one on her. It says, oh Lord, make me like Barnabas, generous, an encourager, a good person. I think it says, fill me with your Holy Spirit. And I'll say, fill me with your Holy Spirit and your love. and with a gift of faith. Put things in your life that remind you. Cough up the candy cane. Put things in your life that remind you, that make you think about your faith and your love. I don't know which way I should have that for y'all. That way? You know, some people put a little cross in their pocket. Some people that I saw, I have a little button that says pray. When you stick your hand in your pocket and you hit it to get your keys out, it makes you, remind you to think about, how do you do that? I don't know what would trigger your brain. I don't know what would encourage you to choose faith and love today over uncertainty. But there are things that we can do. Make it a part of your everyday prayer life. Asking God, God, help me love today like you love. Man, what would it look like if we started praying that every day? Because when you start choosing to love that way, you start choosing to pray that way. I bet I need 2 candy canes. We give them all away. Oh, look. You did good because you had some stuff I didn't give you. I bet your heart might look a little different when you start praying and say, God, help me love today. God, help me love when it is uncertain. God, help me love when I am angry. God, help me love when I don't know what to say. God, help me love when my friend is hurting. Help me love when I am so proud of my friend, my wife, my children, or myself. Help me choose love. How do you choose love? Christian love. So that others may see the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. What do you have in your life that helps you remember? Do you think Joseph, even on his deathbed, ever forgot that moment where he woke up and he remembered that the angel of the Lord said to him, take Mary because you got Jesus? You are going to be the earthly father of Emmanuel. I remember my call. I can't get away from it. But you know what? We list that as a preacher thing. But the reality is we are all called to people to love them and to care for them. You may not have the angel moment. You may not have the call moment that rings so loudly. But you have that moment where Jesus said he loves you and he gave his only son for you. It ought to move you. John writes in the opening of Revelation, chapter 1, verses 4 and 5. He says who he is. He says that John to the 7 churches in the province of Asia. Grace and peace to you from him who is, who was, and who is to come. He's telling you that it is the God who is with you all the time in the uncertainty. The God who was the creator, who was from the very beginning. The God who is to come for your salvation and your completeness. A whole lot more in that sentence when you start unpacking it. Who comes from the 7 spirits before his throne. From Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness. Listen, he's described as the firstborn among the dead. He just said he's the firstborn among my believers, which we fall in as we proclaim Christ. The ruler of the kings of the earth. It says, to him who loves us and has freed us from our sin, by his blood has made us to be a kingdom and priests to serve his God and Father. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. Put something in your life to help you choose love. Because I didn't give you all the big idea out of that, did I? Because when we have faith through our uncertainty, it leads to love every day. When we tend to have faith in the uncertain times, because you really have uncertainty every day, it will lead to love every day. How are you choosing? How's your faith and your love? Can I pray for you? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for being in your house. God, thanks for wearing me out this week, reminding me to choose well and to love you. As we approach your son's birthday and we come to time with our friends and family, help us to love. Help us to be strengthened for the new year, to love you, that others may see it. Amen.